Welcome back to Eagles and Birdies. We are here with CE.Simgolf for episode 3. So, to get us started, CE.Simgolf, why don't you tell us a little bit about your real name, and how you came up with CE.Simgolf?
All right. Yeah, please call me Chris. My name is Chris Anderson. I live in Minnesota. CE Golf came from a couple of years ago. The first version of my first course, The Fold, was a dream of a friend of mine who I golf with constantly. It's our home course here in Rochester. And to make a long story short, the front nine of the fold is the back nine of this course, which is phenomenal. Best city course, best 9 holes in the area. But the other 9 holes are a crap old muni. So
Okay.
there's all this actual land south of the course. And we thought, wouldn't it be awesome if there was 9 more holes to make this a proper championship course? So back in the PGA 2K days, we decided to design 9 holes using LiDAR and SATs and all that. His name is Carl Eric. I am Chris Eric. And
Okay.
so together we did, hey, we'll be CE Designs and we'll design this course and maybe we'll pitch it to the city. So, so he helped design those 9 holes that became the back nine of the fold. And I just kept CE as my handle online when I posted it and just carried it over. Now I'm CE Studios. I do 3D design and printing. That's kind of my small home business.
Okay.
Um, so it's all kind of tied together there, but still kind of honoring him in our first venture. So
That's awesome. I love getting the background of everybody's kind of handle right on Discord or their
yeah,
design
yeah,
handle. So,
not quite
um,
as cool as some maybe, but he still had dreams. He doesn't do anything with golf design at all online. He just enjoys my sim, but
nice.
but uh, but I think there's a dream, there everybody's got that dream of being a famous golf designer, right? So
Yeah, right, right. Well, great, Chris. Again, appreciate the time. So you said you're from Minnesota. I see.
yep,
You got the Twins hat on, right? So,
right, rocking the Twins.
um, what's life like in Minnesota?
Well, right now it's just getting warm enough to play golf. So we've been out playing a few times now. I saw on your question sheet you wanted to know if I'm a reasonable golfer or not. I'm pretty reasonable. I'm 42 now with some 2 girls, and so a little less time for golf, but starting to get more again as they're getting older, and I can leave them at home. I haven't carried an official handicap in years, but I would say I'm probably about a 5 or 6. Pretty
It's,
pretty decent.
it's pretty damn good for not playing a lot, or you're
I
just
mean, I
really
get I
humble
get
here.
probably 20, 30 rounds a year, and I'm hoping to get more like 50 this year. We'll see. So, and
Okay,
now that I can play in the winter and not be rusty, that's
right. So
yeah.
do you have your sim in the house or outside in a garage
It's in the
or?
garage. Yeah. It's not as fancy as a lot of people's, but I love seeing this community where there are people with nets and a monitor, and there's people with these dedicated buildings. It's just crazy, and we're all kind of on a level playing field when it comes to just playing online together. So
Yeah, yeah.
mine's a pop up in the garage. I got to move the cars out. If my wife was in there from work all day, then I got to mop the floor first, and but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, well, I mean, being Midwest guys, right? Like,
Hmm.
we've got just as much snow as summer
Sure.
sunshine, right? And so the only
Yeah.
way we can
Yeah.
play is to swing the sticks in the garage or in the basement, and that's the pleasure of GSPro and guys like you who
Ah,
give us the courses. So,
yeah. Whatever it
um,
takes to play some golf. So
exactly. So talk to me about, sounds like you've been around the design, golf design, game design for a while based on what you just had mentioned. So how'd
yeah.
you get
Yeah.
into it, and like what led you over to GS Pro?
Well, it actually goes way back, and I'll try and be quick because I talk a lot sometimes. So like I said, I'm 42. So when I was in college, it was the day, and this might resonate with some people. PGA Championship Golf from Sierra
Okay.
was the game that had design at the time. I think there was another one, Jack Nicklaus Golf, maybe, which I never did. But I picked it up and I started designing courses on that when I was back around 19, 20 years old. I was actually decent enough at the time that when they released the second version of that, that won game of the year, sports game of the year, they hired a few of the designers of the community to make courses for their championship edition. And I was one of the people that did a course for that release back in the day. And after Headgate Studios that made that went to Tiger Woods, and they kind of nixed the designer because, of course, they want to pay their team and do stuff. So I got out of the game for a long time. I never did links golf. I know links had a designer, never did it. But when PGA came back, and I think it was originally the golf club, I started dabbling in it there again.
Okay.
So, and at the time I was doing it when I was young, I went to school for um, art and design. I dabbled in 3D design at the time. I almost moved out to California and did game design, tried to become a 3D modeler for game. It didn't work out,
Okay.
but I stuck around the 3D design stuff. I did it as a hobby, and just recently moved from SketchUp to Blender to get serious again. So
Nice. So you've got what, two courses in GSPro published?
I got two published, The Fold and Quail Hollow. They're playing this week,
Yep. Yep.
and just before I logged on here, I put another one in beta, which is called Stratus 9. It's a 9-hole local course that um, it's a city course nobody loves, and so I heavily modified it. And it's a totally different style, kind of a Northwoods, Minnesota, UP kind of look.
Okay.
So that just hit beta minutes ago.
Awesome. Well,
Yep.
two published right now, probably three by the time we air this
Yeah.
episode. But a lot of partnership. I know I've talked with a lot of different guys, and
Yeah.
everybody is mentioning all the hard work that you help them with, right? And so,
I've tried to say no to no one because so many people in this community have done groundwork before me. So yeah, I love to model, so I'll do little things, knock them out here and there. I'll try to help people. People seem to I'm trying to be humble, but people seem to think I have an eye for, color and design. So if anyone wants me to look at screenshots or sat shaders, I'm happy to. Yeah, I'm trying to help out everywhere.
that's awesome. So what are your interests? Besides all this golf design and what you do for a living.
Um, so I kind of retired from I was in corporate design and I was a graphic designer, worked in print shops, but I actually kind of retired from that about 10 years ago and
Okay.
became a stay-at-home dad. I
Okay.
still did a lot of kind of a little bit of freelance art and things like that, 3D modeling and stuff. But and I still woodwork. I'm a woodworker.
Oh, interesting.
I'd have room in my garage for a permanent sim if I didn't have a wood shop in there. But I still do quite a bit of that. And a lot of the 3D modeling skills I have, the way I kept them sharp was I modeled things in SketchUp and woodworked and did that kind of stuff. So
So, like, what are you building right now?
golf courses. There's been no time for
Yeah.
woodworking right now.
Okay.
But let's see, what's the most recent thing I did? I did like a nightstand and a shelf for one of my daughters. I do pretty elaborate like cutting board style stuff, chessboards type stuff. I always thought that would be kind of the small business I'd get into once my kids aged out of needing a stay-at-home parent, but now it's
Right.
becoming golf stuff. So yeah.
Nice. So, if we looked at your playlist in Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you use, what are we gonna find?
You're gonna find a huge range. I hope I don't make anybody upset and lose fans. I'm not a country guy whatsoever, but I do love kind of the classic rock, swamp rock, kind of southern roots type stuff. In modern things, you'd find more like the Record Company, Low Cut Connie. I listen to lots of Zeppelin and Petty and things like that. Seeger,
Okay.
kind of a little bit above my age bracket. I'm too young for those classic cuts, but
Yeah.
that's the stuff I'm into for the most part.
Nice.
But I'll listen to softer kind of singer-songwriter stuff too. But and of course anything from the 90s because that's what I grew up in. So
Okay. Like '90s rock, like
yeah,
Nirvana, Pearl
90s all
Jam, all that's yeah.
absolutely. Yep, Soundgarden, Cornell, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. What about on the TV side? If I looked at your
Uh,
last channel you watched, or whatever streaming device you
you
use.
know, time to watch shows is limited. A lot no, sports on the second monitor while I'm designing.
Okay.
But I love. Uh, let's see. What's the last thing I was watching? Peaky Blinders, Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Let's see what else. My wife and I watch some comedy stuff and some stand up, but not a lot of time for TV at this point.
Yeah, yeah. So you watch sports? You baseball guy,
Yep.
hockey guy, Vikings
Hockey,
fan.
hockey, baseball, one and two. So the other majors. Not a lot of college sports, but which I maybe I should because Minnesota pro sports constant disappointment. But
Right.
always get to the playoffs and flame out. But
You're
yeah,
talking
my
to a
my
guy from Detroit right now, so.
uh yeah, don't get me started there, right? So yep. Yeah, I mean it's mostly I've always got some sports on the background.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
You ever been to a PGA event?
Yep. Not a lot of them happen in Minnesota, but I was at the Ryder Cup at Hazeltine and the PGA Championship when it was there. So love that course. I've been to I've been to some actually the web tour stuff. What was it before that? There's a local course, Summerby, that they've been at. I've been to a couple of those,
Okay,
like that. So, yep.
awesome. Um, so you talked a little bit about the few courses that you put out on GS Pro, but as you are thinking about what course you want to put out next, like how do you narrow it down? What makes you pick that specific course?
Well, first I checked the spreadsheet of where everybody lists what they're working on because there's so many talented designers, and I wouldn't dream of taking one away from somebody who was already working on it. I know I forget his handle. Adam was working on Stream Song when I first came out. I was like, oh, I want to do
Adam
Stream.
TC4.
Yep, but he contacted me about it when he put out the first one. I played it; it was phenomenal. He is amazing, so absolutely let him do all of those. But there's so many amazing courses out there right now. I am working on Wingfoot. It's always been one of my favorites, and the redo of that course before the U.S. Open was awesome. Tillinghast he did our country club in Rochester, which I'm not a member of, but I have a friend who is, so I play it occasionally. They just redid it as well to kind of bring it back to roots style a little bit more. So that's got my blood pumping to do Wingfoot, and um, someday I'd like to do this, for pay. I think, or at least try to here and there. Not as prolifically as some people, but maybe some of the cool courses. I kind of fancy myself someone who goes a little above and beyond and tries to break things and do things a little extreme. So I'm really looking for the courses that are unique. But I'd love to pitch the country club here if they had a sim that could run it
Yeah.
uh, to do something like that. So yeah. Anyway, that was a long answer to a short question. Wingfoot is my next one. I have a few more in the idea file. I am contributing to a couple other courses right now. I'm doing some co-designs with some people. So I won't say what they are because I don't know if people have announced them yet for sure, or so
I
I
know
can help.
one of them. I know one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you can say it if you want. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, Gray Walls, right, with the great band
yep.
Genie. So,
Yeah, I know you guys have a tie. So,
yeah, him and I were
yep.
talking, and he was like, what should I build next? And I'm like, have you ever played Gray Walls? I'm like, really cool course. You should check it out. And
That's what I mean. When I saw that course, it's like, oh, anything I can do to help with something cool like that. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I'm going to be in Marquette this summer for a hike, and I'm not going to get a chance to play it. It doesn't look like, but I'll be right there. So,
yeah, so I'm excited for that. And he was super pumped when
yeah.
you were willing to do a co build with him. So.
Yeah, so I did the SAT shader on that for him, and I haven't even seen it in action. I'm sure there'll be more work to do to fix that up and make sure it works. And then when we get off the call, check out the beta because I started messing with the cliffs and the look I want to use to help them with the cliffs on Grey Walls. So
Awesome. So A lot of new designers or future designers are watching these videos are looking for
Mhm.
feedback. And so your experience, you've been around for a while doing this. If you had to give one piece of advice to a future or a brand new designer, what would that be?
Um, that's a great question. I would say obviously lean on the community. There's so many giving people, from the three main guys that have built all this for us to all the top designers who've been so willing to give feedback. I guess this goes against what I do, which is try to do everything. I would say don't necessarily try to do everything. What I've learned from doing the fold and how many hours and months that took as my first course, and just trying to learn and not just do everything, but do everything kind of above and beyond and learn and push the boundaries of things. I would say start small for every course that you kind of plan to do. Try to push the boundaries on one specific thing or become an expert in one specific area. It's kind of how I'm mapping out my next few designs. Like I want to push it on this and this course. I want to push it on this and this course because I think there's value in getting a very playable, excellent, solid first course or two out there before pushing the boundaries. I've had some buggy releases because I've broken some things trying new things, and
Right.
it's frustrating. And I think that could really weigh down on a new designer. So kind of laser focus on certain things and getting solid basics, and then pick a specific goal and work to really hone that piece of the puzzle on each course.
I think that's good. You talked about breaking things and buggy new releases. And I
Yeah,
think hopefully we've got just GS Pro users watching these too, and
and they
you know
do.
and
Yeah,
and the the to provide that feedback, right? And know,
yeah.
like, if it's buggy, it's because we're trying to improve it and make it better, right? Like,
And
we're
I will
breaking
say,
things.
people have been super patient, and no one has been, upset or snarky, even if it hurts them. Like a shot, one shot in a good round gets screwed up because of some bug. And Cook on the SGT side, especially with Quail, was so patient with me, as I think I probably released about 8 versions of Quail Hollow before it was tournament ready. And
Right.
I did, John Meyer asked me to redo that, or if I was willing to, and he said he wanted to see what I could do on a timeline because Fold took forever. And so I took it as a challenge, and of course, I couldn't just do it. I had to try extra stuff, and buggy things broken here and there. Kind of a new designer yet, but we got it out there. So they and the people that point out the things that are broken, they're always so nice about it, and I think they appreciate what us designers are trying to bring. So
Absolutely. I mean, I obviously do. Love doing your guys' flyovers and really helping you
yeah,
guys see,
yeah, that's so nice.
letting everybody see what they're doing. But, sitting around talking with Great Bangini, and I'm like,
Mhm.
what if I did, like a Meet the Designer, like podcast type style thing, and we wanted to get to know you guys and recognize you guys for everything you do. And, I greatly appreciate it. You've got 500 courses in GS Pro, and,
It's just exploded.
basically
Yeah,
it's everybody's doing it essentially for free, right? So it's awesome.
mostly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and even if I get to the point where, and I think that there's probably a few designers who, awesome for them to be able to make it their job, where they
Yeah.
can, a living or a second income for their family off it. That's awesome. Even if I get to a sales point, that's never going to be my goal. I'll work for $1 an hour. I mean, I'd like to make a little, but I
Yeah.
mean, we're doing this for the love. It's, yeah, to most 90% of the designers, that's any money is secondary to just the enjoyment. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you guys put so much time into it. You gotta
yeah,
love it, right? I mean, if you
yeah,
start to figure out how much you make per hour designing a course, you're
you
gonna be
probably quit.
losing, right? Yeah,
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 for sure.
yeah.
Good. Well, hey, man, I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you, learn a little bit about, the woodworking. I think is interesting, and learn about what CE means. Um,
Yeah.
so. keep doing what you do. I think we all can't wait for what you're bringing out. Whenever I see something with your name attached to it in beta, or you're chiming in, I get excited, waiting for that stuff to come out. So keep doing
Yeah,
what you're
well, thank
doing.
you. Well, you providing the service of these flyovers for SGT and stuff. I mean, with how many courses there are, finding a course to play for a guy like me who has to set up their sim and gets to play once or maybe twice a week tops. Like, what am I going to play? I want to see these courses first, and that's a huge service. And this podcast is awesome. I can't wait to meet other people too. So
Yeah, there's so many designers, right? So
there is, yeah,
yeah, so looking forward to meeting everybody else, and we've got a pretty solid lineup, probably
we
for
do.
what we call season one, I guess, of this new podcast that we're putting out. But again, Chris, definitely appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on the show. And keep doing what you're doing, and we'll talk next time.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Honored to be one of the first guests. Thanks
All
so much.
right, all right, man. We'll see you.
Yeah.